Welcome to Reset to Healthier Relationships Sunday night at 9. I am your host, Coach Glenda, your Rise Again woman. Tonight, we are stepping into a very real, very sensitive topic. What happens when a married man has a child outside the marriage through cheating? This is not a gossip session. This is not a blame session. This is a healing and truth session. Some women have lived this. Some women know somebody who has lived this. Some women are afraid this could happen. And some women are still carrying pain from betrayal that changed the entire structure of their family. Before we talk, we are going to reset because this topic can touch grief, anger, embarrassment, and old wounds. So before we dive into tonight's topic, we want to take a few minutes to take some deep breaths to prepare ourselves. Hopefully you have your beverage of choice available, but we want to take a few deep breaths in through your nose and out your mouth. Just do that a couple of times while we let a few people in, as well as prepare to dive into this amazing topic. Okay, now before we actually dive into the actual topic for tonight, we want to set some ground rules so we can agree to protect all of the participants, everyone that may have been affected by this topic, or someone that may be currently going through this topic. We do not shame women who stayed. We do not shame women who left. We do not attack the child. We do not minimize betrayal. We speak from wisdom, not bitterness. We listen for healing. So, thank you so much again, as always, for showing up for Reset to Healthier Relationships Sunday night at 9. We know that this is a huge sacrifice for you guys to stay up until 9 p.m. when you have to go to work the next day. But as always, we want to say thank you. Tonight's topic, we are talking about the outside child when infidelity brings a baby into the marriage. So let's think about that for a little bit. I want to actually start off with a couple of examples to kick it off because a lot of people, as I've stated before, we know people who have already gone through this or is currently going through this. So the first scenario, oh, you know what? I apologize. Mr. Carpenter, thank you so much for showing up as always. Did you want to share any words before we dive in tonight's content?
Not so much share words. What I wanted to let everybody know that we all have been touched by this topic one way or another, whether we're the other person or whether we're the wife or the husband. And I ask that you don't vilify the baby mama sometimes. Sometimes, we're trying to protect people and we vilify one and protect the other. But in this case, I'm asking that tonight that we look at these subjects, look at the subject, and if you're the wife in a situation like this, we understand. Our heart goes out to you. And if you're the husband in this, then we sympathize. And if you're the other woman, we really want to let you know that we don't vilify you because we don't know the situation. We don't know how it happened or when it happened or the way it happened. But we do know that people are people. And the night is going to be an interesting night. There's a lot going to come out. And all I ask is that you don't embarrass anybody, or you don't have to feel like you're in the midst of something. Because the topic tonight is about the lady that's in the middle, the wife, the lady that's in the middle. We're talking about her tonight. We want to give her some encouragement, some healing. Okay, that's it.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Carpenter, for sharing. So the first scenario, give me just a second, I apologize. Okay, the first scenario is I just found out. This is when the wife discovers that her husband has a child she knows nothing about. Her feelings may include shock, humiliation, rage, grief, comparison, and fear. I thought we were building a life, but now I'm realizing there was a whole other story happening behind my back. So when you think about that topic, what comes to mind? And you know what? What I'm going to do is I'm going to read it again just so we can make sure we have a clear understanding. And if there's any questions, we want to be, prepare ourselves for those. But I'm going to read the scenario one more time. This is the scenario is I just found out. This is when the wife discovers that her husband has a child she knew nothing about. Her feelings may include shock, humiliation, rage, grief, comparison, and fear. I thought we were building a life, but now I'm realizing there was a whole other story happening behind my back. Now, for the participants that are on currently, what are your thoughts? Do you have anything you want to share on that? This lady has just found out that her husband has another child outside of the marriage that she knew nothing about. And she is feeling some type of way.
When you read that, I kind of felt it and I could see it in my own eyes. I could see that because if a wife knowing that she loves her husband and she's brought into the husband's vision, and they're moving forward, producing a family and a union, and then to have something come up in that, you know, it's a tremendous stop. I'm not gonna say it's a red flag, but it's a stop. There's a stop there. You got to put the kickstand down and you got to clear this. You got to, some kind of way, the husband and the wife have to clear this. And we can't blame the child, even if the child is already born or if the child is to be born and we find out, the wife find out, she's in the middle of it. Like I said from the very beginning, she's in the middle. She's in the middle of this. So I'm not gonna talk about it because I want the audience to get involved with this because I know this feeling firsthand. Okay.
All right. Does anybody want to come off mute and make any comments on the first scenario we just went over? This is usually the first step or the first, this is when you first find out that your spouse has a child outside the marriage and it's through cheating. You're thinking that, you guys are building a new life together. You're thinking that, you're looking at the children that you already have, and then all of a sudden you find out there is more. Okay, we are gonna keep on building on this and we're gonna move on
Well,
to
let's not move on. Let's
you don't
not
want to
move
move
on.
on?
No, 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 no. There's a lot still here
Okay.
because after you get shocked, after the shock, the humiliation next in that, and put yourself in that situation, and you were the wife, and after you got the shock and you're numb, what would be your next move, Linda? What would be your next move if you was in that situation?
Me and my spouse will have to talk about it. I would really need to, find out what was going on. Uh, what caused him to cheat, go outside the marriage because I'm under the impression everything is going well between me and him. And now this comes up. We need to talk about some things because you just changed the whole dynamics of our family. Our whole family structure is different now because of this outside affair, this new persons.
Well, I agree with you on the talk part. I agree. But
Okay.
before you even talk, you got to deal with some personal things. The wife is dealing with some personal things before she even talk, because the grief, the rage, those things come before conversation.
Well, those are her feelings before the conversation, but how is she going to deal with the humiliation, the rage and the grief? How can she deal with that without talking first?
Well, some people shut down.
True,
Some people don't want to talk.
true.
Some people, it's not a conversation that guy can bring to make a difference in that lady's life.
At that moment.
Correct. Correct.
Right. But I mean, if you want to know the initial feelings, I mean, I thought you was trying to ask me how would I handle it, and I would need to talk to the person. I would need to talk to my spouse to find out what was going on. But in the midst of talking or preparing for that conversation, yes, I'm hurting, but I can't start healing or forgiving until I find out what went wrong. Because a lot of times when you don't talk, you start blaming yourself without even knowing the whole story.
And that's what I was talking about, because some people at this even fear. They're afraid to talk to the husband because of fear, because they feel that if this guy is bold enough to go out and do that, maybe he's trying to replace or trying to change his situation. That's why I wanted to bring out all sides of this. Because think about it. If this lady has been true to this man and she's poured her whole world into this man, she's put her life on hold, she's done everything to build this relationship up with her and her husband, and she think going forward that's what it is. And this person, husband, bring another child into the situation. That after you figure out, was I enough? Then the fear hits, and fear can paralyze you.
It can, it can. But at the same time, the only way that they are gonna get to the next step is, or she started dealing with her feelings, is if they talk about it, because she has to know what caused you to do that. Was there something that I said? It something I did? Is it something that I stopped doing, that, or was it you lost in you fell out of love with me, you're no longer attracted to me? What caused you to step outside our marriage? And the only way she can start is finding out what he has to say, because it could be that that's the way that he is trying to replace her, but she won't know until he speaks up.
Okay, I give you that. Okay, I give you that.
You can't really take the next step with a whole bunch of question marks on the problem. Some you have to have answers. There has to be some type of dialogue between you and the other person before you can find out. Because if you make a hasty decision based off just what happened, you could be, making your situation worse than what it really is.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
Anybody in the audience have anything they want to add? Anybody got anything they want to add to the situation, or are there thoughts about this at this point before we go on to number two?
I agree to a certain point, but when I went through it, I had enough when I found out about the outside child. I had enough. And like I say all the time, a child has nothing to do with the situation. It's the two people in the center of it. And that being the person that cheated and the woman that was cheating. And then on the other side, it's not even the woman, because it's the man that you need to talk to, because he is the one that's in the wrong. He done everything wrong. He stepped outside the marriage. The woman just agreed to it and went on. Now she's got a child that she's got to deal with. But with that being said, you go through all of the stages of grief when you're dealing with a situation in that moment. But after you have had enough, that's it. It's no going back. You got a child you got to take care of. And that's it.
I agree. I think that's Gigi, but on the screen is listed Rufus Carpenter. Can you change the name Gigi on that? Because your comments are so on point. And I want people to know that it's Gigi, because when they say Rufus Carpenter, they think there may be a guy saying that. But your there you go. Thank you, Gigi. Your comments are so on point, because and that's what I was talking about, the hard stop when I first started talking, because this is feelings, this is grief, this is fear, this is so many emotions coming at the same time. And think about it. If you say you want to talk to the husband, do the husband want to talk to you? I mean, I gotta say that, because if he's bold enough to have done all of this, then maybe he really, because the first thing he'll probably say is get over it. Because I don't think there's nothing he can say. Sorry wouldn't even work in this situation.
He shouldn't even say sorry. Not at this point, but he should be willing to talk. And if he want to save his marriage, you would think that he would want to sit down and talk about it and, go a little deeper and, answer the questions that the wife may have. Because this situation could be damaging to her personally, regardless of whether or not she stay or whether she decides to leave, separate, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. But it takes a toll on a person, because without the conversation and knowing the why this happened, she could feel as if it was me. It was something I said. Mm-hmm. It was something that I did or didn't do that caused my husband to step outside the marriage. And until she get clarification, mm-hmm. she's never gonna know. So even though he may not want to talk about it, I'm hoping that he will come around and give his wife, do her that one good justice to have this conversation, especially if you want to keep your marriage.
Okay. All right. I agree. I think now we've covered some ground on this one, because I didn't want us to gloss over this, because this is very, very deep. All right. Okay. I think you can go to number 2 unless someone has something else. Okay.
All right.
Number 2.
Okay. The affair produced a baby. This is when the husband cheated during the marriage and the affair resulted in pregnancy or a child. This is one of the most painful categories, because the betrayal is not just remembered. It now has a lifelong presence. Every time the phone rings, every time there is child support, every time the mother's name comes up, I'm reminded of what happened. Let me read it one more time. The affair produced a baby. This is when the husband cheated during the marriage and the affair resulted in pregnancy or a child. This is one of the most painful categories, because the betrayal is not just remembered. It now has a lifelong presence. Every time the phone rings, every time there is child support, every time the child's mother comes up, I'm reminded of what happened. Now, how do you deal with that?
Mm. I tonight, I think tonight there's no easy answers in none of this. There's no easy answers in none of this. This tonight is life. This tonight is very real.
Mm.
This tonight is something that happens every day. This tonight is something that we have to find a way through. We have to find a way through because the wife. Once again, we're talking from the understanding that the wife in the middle here, when she says it's a lifelong commitment that they have to the other child. And the wife is once again the wife is in the middle. And I understand her. Every time the phone rings, could this be the other person? Could it be the woman itself, or now if when the child gets older, could it be the child calling on the phone? And that's, and I don't want to say it this way, but I have to. I was told by a woman once that every dollar you give someone else is a dollar you taken away from me.
Right.
So if child support is in this, is it a dollar that the husband is given to the outside child? Is a dollar taken away from the wife that's in the middle, or the family that's in the middle? And that's why this is so very, very important. There's so many angles, so many moving parts to this. The child, the other person, the lady on the other end. What kind of access is she's gonna have to this woman's husband from this point on? So let's dive through the pieces of this one piece at a time.
Okay.
Child support. Let's deal with child support first. What would the child support I guess bring out, or what would a child support do, or how would a child support impact that current marriage and that current wife and her family situation?
Well, it could possibly create a hardship within the family. However, when you made the comment, a dollar that you give away takes away from her, that's valid, but this is a bill. This is like Georgia Power, Dominion Power. This is like car insurance. This is something that has to be done. So that's why the communication in the beginning, when you find out, has to come about, because now you have to think about, okay, so this changes the whole dynamic of the family, because maybe now the husband has to go find a part-time job or try to get a better position in his current job so he can bring in more money to offset the money that is having to go out to the other family, taking care of the child. So in regards to that comment, that's my take on it.
Okay, Dr. Hendon put something in the chat. Can you read it for us?
The same problem can occur if the first family feels left behind for the new family. Did you want to elaborate a little bit on that, Dr. Hendon?
What I was saying is that, even though we're talking about the wife who is married to the original husband, I know a family where the first wife passed away, dad moves on to new family. New family, becomes the priority. Old family becomes old news.
You talking about the deceased woman's children?
Correct. So original family feels left behind because now, I'll just give a perfect example. A famous family couldn't really call their dad they had to call him by his first name. Well, the new child that came along out of the wedlock, only thing she knew was dad. So I just began to say that sometimes this whole entanglement could go either way. And then when I was finna get ready to comment, I was about to say that even though we think that the husband might have to get an additional job to pay for the baby out of wedlock, sometimes the wife may have to as well, because like you said, if money's coming out of your household, somebody got to keep Alabama Power in your household paid. So the wife may have to get another job to take care of this burden that the husband has created.
True.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And he brought another point, because now the children, if the husband favored the new child, over the other children or over the wife, then that creates issue because then they feel like, hey, look,
Sure.
I was here first. This is where you're supposed to be. So that's a conflict that you got to deal with because the husband could be just showing just general concern for the child, where the original family can say, hey, wait a minute now, we come first. And that's what I think Dr. Hinton talking about being left behind.
Now, Dr. Hendon, I wanted to go back to the example that you gave. Now, was the original family, were those his kids, his biological children, or were those kids already in the family? Were they already the mother's kids before they got married?
No, so again, there's a famous family, probably the famous family in the country right now,
Uh-huh.
10 children. They, mom and dad were married forever. They called him and mom by their first name. The child that came out of wedlock, all she ever called her daddy was dad. She never called him by his first name.
Okay.
So the first family is kind of jaded because they never could call their dad dad.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
And that's what I was saying there, Coach Glenda, that anything different with the child on the outside, the children on the inside were saying, hey, look, what's going on here? This person gets special privileges that we could never get. And then this situation I think Andre was talking about, the wife is deceased. But if the wife was still alive in that, how she said that, because I've known where women have really protected the kids that they had with the husband more so than they did with the kids that were from the other person. Because sometimes the woman that has her own kids, it's like a mother hen. These are my babies. How are you going to treat this baby better than my baby? So that's an issue there. And once again, the children are very innocent in this situation.
Right.
And that's why tonight is so important that we bring this out, because there's so many moving pieces. And this is something that happens regularly.
Mm.
This is not an isolated event we're talking about. We're talking about something that happens a lot. And I'm glad we're talking about it where it's not what's that, pushed under the carpet or swept under the rug. We're actually talking about it live tonight.
Right.
And once again, Coach Glenda, I commend you for having a forum where we can come out and talk about these type of things. And we can talk about it openly, honestly, and from the heart with love.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else got anything to say about this scenario? About the baby affair? The affair that produced the baby? Okay, I think we're ready to go to number 3.
All right, the next example, he knew but hid it. He knew but hid it. This is when the husband knew or suspected the child existed but did not tell his wife. He creates a second betrayal, the affair and the cover-up. I could maybe deal with the truth, but I don't know how to deal with all the years you let me live a lie. Again, the next example is he knew, but he hid it. This is when the husband knew or suspected the child existed, but did not tell his wife. This creates a second betrayal, the affair and the cover-up. I could maybe deal with the truth, but I don't know how to deal with all the years that you lived a lie. So that's a good one right there, especially if he knew about it. And he never said anything about it. And months and years went by. All right, I'm gonna read what's in the chat. I wonder how many people would feel comfortable loving their spouse afterwards.
Ooh, and let's deal with that one, that part of it before we go any further. You
Okay.
know, you're right, because think about it. If he lied in this situation, and this is a very, very important situation, because you're talking about lives here. You're not talking about, you got a second bank account over here that I don't know nothing about. So you got dollars over here. We're not talking about that. We're talking about another life and maybe another family. Because if there's a baby mama. So let's talk about that piece a little bit. He hid it. That how can you love after that, or can you love after that?
It takes a strong woman to still love a man and forgive him after this event, after this situation. It takes a strong woman to handle this because and me personally, you have to be rooted and grounded in Jesus Christ to be forgiven and to, work through your feelings, because I'm not going to discount what you're feeling, but work through your feelings and forgive this man and proceed as usual and accept the child. And I cannot see it no other way.
Hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
I think one of the things I will say, Mr. Carpenter, because I apologize for interrupting you, but I think another thing that if the relationship is on the rocks or rocky and this take place, there may not be any love after this. Because that could have been her confirmation or the deal breaker that pretty much will put her on a path to part ways.
See, yeah, well, there's a lot there. Because hidden truth destroys emotional safety. Because in a marriage, that intimacy and the emotions and that safety there, that a husband, when he protects his wife, he provides a safety net for her, and she feels very comfortable maneuvering and operating in that safety emotional net. But when that net is broken, and when that net is not there, it would. How can you be emotional safe from that point on? Like I think Dr. Hinton put in there, how can she love him after that? Because the emotional side is a big part of it. What does it take to rebuild that? What it takes for closure. Even if she leaves, what it takes for closure. Because when she leaves, her heart is torn out.
Mhm.
Think about it. Okay, what if you were in that situation, Glenda? What would you need from your husband to move forward?
Ooh, I would need reassurance. I mean, for me to if I was still in love with my husband and I wanted to keep our family together, I would need some type of reassurance, some type of stability from him to know that this is not going to happen again. This was hopefully it was a one-time oopsie, and that he would have to be sincere in his apology, and I would have to be comfortable and secure in what he's saying, and his actions had to meet what he's saying as well, to be able to continue uh to let it go and deal with it and process it as I should, because I mean, he would have to, I mean, I wouldn't expect for him to give me gifts to try to cover it up or try to make me feel good. He would need to really tell me and show me through his actions that this was a one-time mistake. It's not going to happen again. And he would really need to tell me what happened that caused him to go outside our marriage, because that is first and foremost how I will be able to heal. I mean, because I need to know, because if it was something I did, maybe it's something I need to stop doing. Or if it was something that I wasn't doing, maybe it's something I need to start doing. but I won't know until he speaks up. But if he has a strong desire to keep the marriage, keep our family, there's a lot of talking that needs to be done. And he has to really reassure me, provide stability to let me know that, this is it. I made a mistake, but it's me and you against the whole world. It's not about, me and this other person. We're going to deal with that. But me and you, this is me and you. Because I still want this.
In part of your conversation, part of your here is you said about me. Is it about me? You even asked yourself, if it about me? You did some soul searching on your part. Is it about me? I'm not gonna say you're the victim here, but in this, your world has been shattered for something he done, and then you're gonna say, could it be me?
Right.
In your conversation there. So I think the first thing had to be transparency on the man's part. I know when I'm with a lady, or when I was married, I didn't want my wife to like on my phone because I thought it was privacy, and I didn't have anything in it, but I thought she, if she go in it, it would be. But in a situation like this, I think the wife should have the guy's password from this point. She should be able to look at his phone anytime, because think about it. If the husband and you're trying to get back, I'm not gonna say back in grace, but if you're trying to show her that, hey, from this point on, it's transparency here. Here's my passwords. Here's all I have. I'm open. I'm very open to you looking, question, asking, like you said, some time conversation. So I'm very open from this point on, because half truths will not heal you in this situation. So that's all I'm saying is that, how do you get past this? What I ask Linda, read what's in the chat, because I see the chat blowing up. So can you read some what's in the chat, please, if you don't mind?
Okay. When I had made the comment that it takes a strong woman to handle the situation, someone responded stronger than they are. Let's see. Then we have, okay, after betrayal, love will never be the same, and you can't love them the same. It's impossible for you to put this person in a category of a good man or woman, then they show you otherwise. It's devastating. Nothing can fix that but time. And even then, is the partner willing to live through your healing process no matter how long it takes? Now that's good. Because healing doesn't it doesn't happen overnight. It's not a 30-day, free trial. No, it takes time because trust has to be rebuilt. So you're absolutely right about that. And someone put in the chat, I don't know if men know why they cheat. I think most men do. I can't agree with you there. I think they know why, because sometimes it's out of lust, whether they admit to it or not. And sometimes I've heard from myself, a lot of men cheat because it's something that they're missing in their current relationship. Because a lot of wives, they withhold sex as a punishment. Now, if you withhold sex from your husband for a certain amount of time, and he has that urge or that need to have that itch scratch, 9 times out of 10, depending on the man, especially if he's weak, he's gonna step outside the marriage. And I've heard that from men. We have also in the chat, I initially thought the guy who told the lady he still wanted her after cheating and saying it's them against the world was arrogant at first, because I was like, how you, how could you say, let me say how you, oops, give me a second. It says how you could say you want someone back after you got caught slipping. How could you say you want someone back after you got caught slipping? Uh, I think men think that they would never get caught. But you know how they say, I want my cake and eat it too? Men think that they'll never get caught, and they still want who they're with because they bring something to the table. Maybe they're a good provider. They take care of the kids, they take care of the house, they take the load off, but they fall short somewhere else, and that's why they step outside the home. And then some men are just horny toes. It don't matter if they have a wife or a spare tire. They're still gonna do what they want to do.
Glenda, I was with you until you said the word honey toad. Up to that point, you had me. But after that, you kind of pushed me to the side a little bit. But listening to what was in the chat is right on. The chat, there's a lot of great stuff in the chat, and this one really takes it because when the person hides something from you, when the person hides something from you, that breaks trust at all levels.
It does.
Not just because of the child, but that breaks trust at all levels. Because when you marry, you're supposed to be one. You're supposed to be a union. You're supposed to come together. And when you can't trust that other person, what do you have? What do you have? What you smiling about?
The chat.
What's in the chat now?
Somebody put in the chat, what if he's not a provider? The sex is horrible and he steps out. Do you stay? That's the question.
I think the answer's in the question. I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh because this is a very serious subject, but that was a good one. I think the answer's in the question. Somebody said love says stay. Okay, that's a good one.
When you love somebody, you do. You try to work it out. I mean, regardless of what happened, you still need healing. You have to go through the process, but that's like I said, it takes a strong woman to deal with that. I mean, because she loves her husband. And even though he made a mistake, hopefully it's just one mistake. I mean, I would probably struggle with two or three mistakes, but one mistake, and I know for sure that you're not going to repeat it again. You know, there is a way for you to keep your marriage because love, I was told during marriage counseling, sandwich everything with love. And it even comes, it even goes for infidelity, and it even goes for, having a child outside the marriage. You have to sandwich everything with love. But I will repeat, it takes a strong woman because if she doesn't love you or you have really broken her down with this one little mistake or this hiccup in your marriage, the love may die and it may go away and it may not be able to be, restored. Because a lot of women will call it quits after this because they didn't sign up for this.
Okay. Read it one more time. Just read this whole scenario one more time before we move on to the other one.
Okay, not a problem.
Somebody put love gets you in trouble. I think that's Dr. Hinton. That was your answer. Love gets you in trouble. But go ahead. You read this one more time.
Sure. All right. The example was he knew but hid it. This is when the husband knew or suspected the child existed, but did not tell his wife. This creates a second betrayal, the affair and the cover up. I could maybe deal with the truth, but I don't know how to deal with all the years you let me live a lie. So just from him withholding it and keeping it a secret, that also plays a part in her healing. Because she's like, wow, it's been 5 years, it's been 10 years. Now we have to deal with a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old. So you've been lying to me for 5, 10 years? What else have you been lying about? Okay, we got in the chat. I think sometimes this is a double standard. We've always assumed the man is the one who has the baby outside the marriage, but suppose it's the woman who does this. Can men really stick with it? Well, it's hard for a woman to hide a pregnancy from her husband, but what she can do is let him believe that it's his child when it's somebody else. And then they find out later down the line that You are not the father.
Let's table that one as a different subject, a topic, a different night. And can you re-say that again, Glenda, so I can write that down so we can have that as another topic? Because
Well,
that's a whole topic all by itself.
but
When you
which
about
what do you want me to reread?
just no, don't reread it. Say it. You just said it when you said when the husband you said it's hard for a woman to hide her pregnancy, but you said sometimes raising someone else's baby. So kind of can
You
you
want me to repeat what I said?
yes.
Okay, the example that I gave was it's hard for a woman to hide a pregnancy from her husband, but what can happen is she can get pregnant by someone else, and then later on her husband finds out that the baby isn't his, that he is not the father.
And that I think we should lose that as a separate topic later.
Okay.
Let's not concentrate on this right now because that's a whole lot another episode. Okay.
You know what? There's a comment that just popped in. It says that's why having God as a foundation matters. Now, I will say in regards to that, a lot of people do have a religious foundation, a Christian base, but they still make mistakes because the flesh is weak. There's
That
no
shouldn't be.
perfect. Excuse, would you say, Mr. Kingdom?
No, I'm sorry. I was letting you finish.
Oh, okay. Because we're all flesh, we're all human, we make mistakes. So even with a God or religious foundation, you're still not exempt from mistakes happening. Because I know a pastor that this happened to, and you would think you hold a title in the church, but you have a baby outside of your marriage.
What I was going to say was the comment Rufus just made. It's still betrayal and it's still lying. So why would you table that, for another topic? Because it's on the same thing.
Yes, it is. You're right. It's on the same thing, but it's a different dynamic because this one, it's betrayal. You're right. It's 100% betrayal, but I think there's more pieces to that part. I think that's a whole subject all by itself because when you're not the father and you've raised this child all your life as the father, I think there's a lot of pieces we need to bring out on that one
Well,
because
still,
go ahead, sir.
you still can't neglect the fact that it's still the same topic. It's just more in depth.
We would probably piggyback off of it. We're just piggybacking off of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to go in details with it, but we can't exclude it. That'll be wrong to
I got
exclude it
something to
because it's
say.
still the same.
Okay.
Let Gigi talk. Go ahead, Gigi.
I I'm listening at the preachers and all of that. First, a pastor, preacher, deacon, or whatever leadership role that they take in the church, they're first human. No matter whether or not it is male or female, they're first human. And in times past, I have known a pastor to do wrong and get that young lady up, and they get on their knees and pray to God and ask the Lord to forgive them for what they done. So at the end of the day, they're human too. They're prone to make mistakes.
Right.
They were a man or a woman before they became ministers
Correct.
or leadership. So I have to look at them first as a man and then a leader.
I will agree because I'm always being told that I'm a man first, and when you tell me that, I know exactly what you mean.
And that's why that subject need to be all by itself because there's so many moving parts of that part also. And tonight our focus is on the woman in the middle.
Right.
The woman in the middle is our focus tonight. The betrayal. How does she feel? She's in the middle. She like someone said she didn't sign up for this. her loyalties has been to her husband all of the time, and now all of a sudden, not only do you have betrayal in having a child outside of wedlock, but you didn't let the wife know once you found out, or you didn't let her know, you hid it for years from her. So that's a double whammy. That's a double hurt. One, for the cheating outside, and the second is you kept it from me for so long. And there's another chat. Can you read that one, Glenda?
Yeah, I will, but it was one that stood out, that because I gave an example. Someone else put an example in the chat. It says a good example: if your husband is in the military and he comes home thinking he's the father, and you're absolutely right. That's another good example right there.
And that's one reason why I was saying let's table this one, because I was in the military, and there are some assignments in the military you go away for 24 months, 12 months, and you don't come home at all. You can't come home. And some wives are very faithful, and they do what they need to do, and some wives don't. Some wives go to the club and go do whatever. And that's
And
why
vice
that was
versa.
important. Go ahead, sir.
And vice versa. The men do the same thing.
True.
So
Correct.
that's why I was saying it's kind of hard to exclude it, because it's almost like a double standard.
Okay. Uh, Coach Glenda, at this point it's 9:50. And I already know this is not just a two-part. This might be a series. Because we haven't even gotten a fourth of what we need to have gotten done. So I know we're gonna carry this forward, but we got 10 minutes. If anyone on the line want to share anything or talk, share their thoughts on this, or individually have something for the group, or say something, because what we're doing tonight is recorded. It goes on YouTube before Wednesday. And this is someone that may be in a situation like this may use this as a chance to look at it as a sounding board, or get some type of relief, or get some type of healing. So anyone on the line or in the audience want to take about 3 or 2 minutes, or want to share their thoughts on the night, this is your chance to talk freely.
Okay, I have something to say. I want to put a little sugar on it before I say it.
Okay.
And I was a military wife, and my husband was a police officer. I came home to my uncle, who was a military officer. And he always told me, you never ask your husband what happened when he was gone. If you ask your husband what he was doing while he was gone, be sure you really want to know the answer. So I never asked. Vice versa, he never asked me anything. But I wasn't doing anything. He was doing a plenty. But the thing about it is, when you are in these situations and you want to ask questions of a man or female or whatever, you need to be sure that you can handle the truth. You have to be sure that you really want to know what's going to hurt you for the rest of your life. That's all I have to say on that one.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Anyone else have anything they want to say? Because we still got about 6-7 minutes left. So this is your time to speak.
I feel that a marriage has ups and downs, highs and lows. If you're distant for a period of time, and as she say, ask no questions if you can't take the answer. If it did happen, is that one of them highs and lows where you pray to God to help you understand and accept what happened so you can move on? Or do you just move on out of instinct? Because if you're really in love with that person and that person is there, what happened, and you pray to God to help you heal or accept it, you move on. But then if it happens again, that's a different story. Did that make sense?
Yes, it does. Okay. Anyone else? We still got about 5 minutes left. It's open time. Anyone wants to share their thoughts or comments? Now would be a great time because
Okay,
this is.
let me read let me read a message that was in the chat. I don't even think cheating can be a mistake in a marriage. Why would and how could you even put yourself in that situation to even do that? Can do that cheating, let's see, do that, can cheating happen? Yes, but it wasn't a mistake. You did it consciously, knowing you're married, so you repent for what you did and don't do it again.
Read it again because you broke up on my end. I don't
Okay,
know if
no
anyone
problem.
else had you break up, but on my end, you can't break up.
Okay, I don't even think cheating can be a mistake in a marriage. Why would and how could you even put yourself in that situation to even do that? Can cheating happen? Yes, but it wasn't a mistake. You did it consciously, knowing you're married, so you can repent for what you did and don't do it again. Did you get it that time, Miss
I don't
Erica?
believe that. I don't agree with that
You said,
because it can happen. It can happen. You can get caught up in a situation like that and it's not intentional. So unconsciously, it can happen. Been there, done that. You can be, for example, consoling someone and you going through something as well. And one thing could lead to another without even realizing what's going on. It's possible. It sounds crazy, but it is possible.
Yeah, no,
And like you said,
I
the last
totally
thing you
disagree with
said,
that.
Hey,
Yeah.
huh?
hey, Mr. Kingdom, let I can't and let her talk because she's
Erica.
brand new and I think it's her first time on. So, Terica, go ahead.
Yeah, I disagree. There's no way. If I'm consciously, I'm in my right mind. I know I'm married. If you put yourself in that situation, so you know boundaries. You know not to cross the line, what lines to cross. I know if I'm married, not to be alone in a room with another man. That's common sense. So I think saying that you've been there, done that, just in my opinion, that's a cop out or an excuse to justify your actions. If you're married, you don't put yourself in situations to cheat. You don't put yourself in lascivious situations. You don't do that. I mean, it's plenty of people who've been married years who don't cheat, who've had the chances, who don't. So there's really no excuse. Can people cheat in a marriage? Yes, they can, but don't call it a mistake because you did it. It's situations I've been in where I could have went the whole way, but I'm like, no, I'm in a relationship. I can't do this. I stopped. So you have the option to stop, or you can continue doing what you're doing. It's just either you're gonna do it or you're not gonna do it. What I did wasn't a mistake. I did it knowingly, so I'm gonna repent, and I'm not gonna do it again. But I'm not gonna call it a mistake. A mistake is dropping something on the floor, not cheating on a 20-year marriage. That
Well,
doesn't make sense.
let me put it this way. Maybe I didn't explain it the proper way, but yes, you can't get caught. Because in my situation, when I said been there, done that, I was still married, okay, but separated. Going through what I'm going through with mine, she was going through what she was going through with hers. And it happened. It wasn't no intentional or nothing like that. It just happened. It's situations that do occur unintentionally. Just like with me, I could be talking to you and hurt your feelings unintentionally. Same thing. It happens.
No, you can't compare cheating to hurting someone's feelings. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. Yeah,
It's the
it
same.
happens.
You
It
can't compare it
happened.
because at the end of the day, it's all about your feelings
I
when
mean,
you cheat.
I'm not married to you. I'm not in love with you. I don't have a commitment to you. I don't have any kids with you. So it wouldn't make me no never mind. It wouldn't hurt me. When you're talking about separation, and it depends on your faith as well. I know people who are separated now who refuse to date or talk to anyone until they're fully divorced. You have
Oh,
choices, so it's not a mistake. So I don't think you're. What I'm saying is, it can happen. You can cheat. It can happen, but don't call it a mistake because you did it.
okay, then.
I can sleep with
Take
someone
community.
outside of marriage,
Take
and it's not a
community.
mistake. I did it, so
Well,
I
let's take
and
that
don't do
word
it again.
mistake out of the picture, out of the scenario.
Okay.
Let's use the word instead of mistake, regret.
Okay.
You
But
understand?
at this time, we're gonna have Glenda had to pull the plug. We're over our allotted time. So Glenda, can you take us home? Once again, this apparently it's gonna be a series because we still got less than two episodes left of this. So this is gonna be a series, and we're just taking it until we finish it each week.
Rufus,
Go ahead, Glenda.
Rufus, Rufus.
Sir,
Let me
yes, sir.
just say one thing real quick.
Be
Terica,
quick.
welcome. Terica, welcome to the
Wait.
show.
Stop. You can't do that, Mr. Kingdom. I'm sorry. I apologize. Glenda,
What I
take us
did.
home. Take us home.
Okay. Thank you so much for tonight's participation. As we close tonight, I want every woman listening to remember this. You are not wrong for hurting. You are not weak for needing time. You are not bitter because you need boundaries. You are not selfish because you want to know where you stand. If this has happened in your life, your healing deserves care. May you have the courage to face the truth. May you have the wisdom to ask the right questions. May you have the strength to set boundaries without hate. May you have the peace to know that your life is not over because someone else broke trust. Take the next wise step. Until next Sunday night at 9, keep resetting, keep reconnecting, and keep rising. Good night, everyone. See you next Sunday night at
Good
9.
night.
Good
Good
See you
night.
night. Good
next
night,
Sunday.
everybody.